Welcome to session 2 of this deep winter meditation series. We're going to begin remaining in our prefrontal cortex, and I'm going to read a piece out, and then I'm going to pause for the live group and an invitation to just for you to stop and have a think before we move into the practice. So we're following through Catherine May's Wintering, The Power of Retreat. The rest and retreat in difficult times. And we're in January, and this chapter is titled Hunger. I walk in the late January frost, and I realise that I am a wolf today. I am overcome by the need to prowl, to go outside and to stalk about my territory. There is an unrest in my gut that feels like hunger. I am a seething mess of uncertainty. My mind so full of forked paths that I worry it could spill. I want to be everything, but I am nothing. I am an empty bowl, concave, and absence in space. I am back to those blank days of early motherhood again, taking care of my child at home, trying to be good, trying to be abundant with love and righteousness. Goodwill is always scarce with me, and I've run dry. I watched H go out to the work this morning like all of life isn't turned upside down, and I felt I could spit on his receding shadow. It is not his fault, I know that, but life is biting at me yet again, and there's nowhere else to deflect the savagery. There's a postcard above my desk, an etching by William Blake of a little man who's propped a spindly ladder up against the moon. He's just mounted the bottom rung, a long, impossible climb ahead. The caption reads, I want. I've always been that figure, reaching up towards impossible things. Today I'm sick with those desires, trying to channel the infernal patience of parenthood, while a dozen stories ball up in my throat, unable to be written. I'm scared that it might be forever, that one obstacle after another will prevent me from making the work I need to make in order to stay sane. And yet now, relieved of my schoolroom duties for the day, I find that ball of ideas has lodged itself in my gullet and will not emerge so that I can write them down. All I can do is walk. I have nothing else. The sun is low, making gold streaks in the desiccated grasses that line my route. I am alert to birds, to the sudden bustle of movement in the bare red brambles. My mouth craves, and I cannot tell what it would make me do if I didn't stalk. Never having been a smoker in my life, I want a cigarette, just for the sense of occupation. It would tend to my tongue and my lips, just for the feeling of transgression. Otherwise, I think it would be a drink at this time in the morning. My mouth wants it. It wants the disruption of a long, intent swallow and the daze it might bring. I see why cigarettes are a lesser evil in those dark, disrupted moments, when the mouth will use anything to avoid crying out its pain. Instead, I walk. I have learnt to walk at these moments. I have learnt to walk until the heat leaves. So I'm going to pause, and for those of you practicing at home, we're all at home, in your own time, I want you to have a think about that sense of frustration that she's talking about, that hunger, that sense, and how we can feel that within our bodies, that sense of desperation, of feeling really frustrated and penned up and fed up. We are in January, we're in mid-January, we've just passed through what's supposedly the most depressing part of the month. And so we can feel like we're in the trenches. So just bringing to mind something or some sense of that, or perhaps moments where you have experienced that, and maybe writing a short paragraph or a long paragraph of what that situation is. And we're going to drop out of the prefrontal cortex and into the body and explore that. So be careful what you choose, but sort of trying to embody that sense. just for a moment. I'll give you some tools to get out of it. Okay, so I'm inviting you to bring to mind this sense of, I haven't found the right word for it, like sense of trying to be good, of trying to be righteous, and not feeling like it at all. So that sense of kind of wanting, where she's talking about wanting to spit on her husband's shadow is he walks off to go to work. We know it's not fair, we know it's not just, but that sense of discomfort, it's not a comfortable sensation, and we're just going to stay here for just a short amount of time. Okay, so holding that in mind, let's begin. So taking a moment to arrive in your body as you are, having brought this challenging situation into your mind's eye, this challenge of being ourselves, being uncomfortable, wanting things to be different, maybe wishing this side of our personality wasn't there. A sense of injustice, frustration, of wishing things were different. And dropping into what that is in the body, you may notice that your jaw clenches, that your forehead furrows up, that your eyes scrunch shut. Not changing anything, we're checking in with our body as we sit with this side of ourselves. Maybe the shoulders are hunched up by the ears. Maybe the heart's beating and the stomach churning, tightness. And then moving down to the legs, to the hips, the thighs and the knees and the lower legs, the feet. Your body responding to what's going on in the prefrontal cortex. It's bracing, it's protecting. So when we hunch our shoulders, our rib cage at the back curves, sort of protecting our vital organs. Our stomach, the soft areas at the front of our body are our most vulnerable. When our body curves in this way, it's protecting. Because these frustrations, these mental experiences are experienced by the body in a very physical way. So, an invitation to step out of this story and readjust your body. So we're going to do some small movements to begin with. So pulling yourself up by the crown of your head. You may notice that your shoulders lower without you having to make much of an effort. Just resting in that for a few moments. And now an invitation to slowly bring your hands up to your forehead. And we're going to smooth that brow. So careful that your shoulders don't come up by your ears. So dropping the shoulders and putting the fingers into the middle of the brow so they meet, and then dragging them across. And then lifting up slightly before releasing. And just repeating this slowly a few times. So pulling them across and then lifting up, like a flick. Checking with the shoulders. And then with a flick. And then let's massage those eyebrows. Again, there's a whole lot of tension, so just squeezing the eyebrows from the middle to the outside. All these muscles. And then moving the fingers down to the cheeks, giving them a little massage, just gentle squeezing, being careful to avoid the delicate skin of the eye bags. Just leave the more delicate parts alone. Massage the cheeks, and then moving around to the jaw. And then to the lips. Check that your forehead hasn't furrowed up as you concentrate. Then moving the hands down to the back of the neck. So just going up and down the neck a little bit before massaging the scalp. And then bringing the arms down to your sides or to your waist, just resting in the felt sensation of having made those movements. Now, one tool that you can add to your toolkit that's a little bit more discreet than this is when we're feeling those moments of frustration and challenge and perhaps wanting to shout but not wanting to shout at somebody, is to push the tongue into the roof of the mouth behind your teeth. And so just pushing and holding for 3 seconds. Not clenching the teeth. So teeth slightly apart, and then lifting the tongue to the roof of the mouth and then pushing against your teeth. When we clench our jaws, we clench a lot of the body at the same time. So just one more time, lifting the tongue to the roof of the mouth and pushing against the teeth, and perhaps seeing if you can push to the sides as well as to the front. And then letting go. Just resting in the felt sensation of having made those movements. So in those moments where we want to hold our tongue, this is a very useful technique. You are literally holding your tongue. And now, an invitation to hold on to the thumb of your dominant hand. So just squeezing the thumb of your dominant hand with your other hand. And just holding this, squeezing. Bringing your attention to the felt sensations here. Perhaps some aching in the fingers. Just squeezing. We're squeezing until we can feel a pulse in that thumb. Might be 30 seconds, might be longer, might be 2 minutes. And then releasing. Observing the sensations. And now squeezing that first finger. So as tightly as feels comfortable for you. Squeezing that first finger. Checking in with the rest of the body while you're doing this, that the forehead hasn't started frowning in concentration, that the jaw isn't clenched. As best you can, breathing through the nose. Just holding onto that first finger, squeezing it. And then releasing and resting in the felt sensation of having made those movements. Tingling, warmth, coolness. And now repeating with the third finger, the middle finger, squeezing as tightly as feels comfortable for you until you feel a pulse. And then releasing and resting in the felt sensation of having made that movement. Checking in with your posture. Checking in with your facial muscles and your shoulders. And then moving to the fourth finger, the ring finger, squeezing. What sensations can you notice? Checking that you're not clenching and tightening other parts of the body. Checking in with your posture. And then releasing. Letting go. And then finishing with that little finger. And then releasing and resting in the felt sensation of having made those movements. And now an invitation to shake your hands. You do this as lightly or as strongly as feels right for you. This shaking it off, being aware of the movements, perhaps incorporating the shoulders if you can. Perhaps move them forward and backwards as you shake those hands. Move them up and down, to the sides, to the back. The noises, the cracks, the crunching, the movement of your clothes, the air circulating around you as best you can, bringing your present moment of awareness to the movements and experience of shaking. Remembering to breathe, letting go of any tension in the face that might have crept in. And then returning to stillness. Just resting in the felt sensation of what's here now, what's present. Tingling, throbbing, warmth, coolness, shapes, textures, sounds. And now an invitation to bring your awareness to your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Knowing that if you need a little extra parasympathetic nervous activation, that you can extend that out breath. That's always available to you. Breathe in for 4, breathe out for 5. Breathe out for 6, 7, 8, 9. Whatever feels right for you. When we learn to listen and pay attention to our body's experience as well as what's going on in the prefrontal cortex, that we give ourselves an opportunity to pause and to recenter and to connect to our experiences as they are, but that we can offer some kindness towards ourselves. A simple massage, squeezing of muscles. Lifting your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Squeezing the fingers of your dominant hand. Shaking your hands, arms, legs and feet. Or as quiet and unassuming as extending your out-breath. Adjusting your posture. Reassuring your body that you're safe and that there are no lions or tigers or bears. There are no physical threats. And then making any movements that your body may have been asking of you. We're going to move into taking tea. And today I am serving Piccadilly Blend, an Alice in Wonderland inspired tea. And on the tin it says, "We're all mad here." It's a floral black tea. It's a bit fruity. slice of lemon. Doesn't feel quite right to have milk in it. So, for those of you practicing in your own time, an invitation to pause and reflect on your experience of those practices. I will share all of the links to what they were within the on the page. But what was interesting? What was boring? What was your body telling you? What was interesting? So hopefully some of those tools will be useful for you to take with you into your daily lives. They'll all be linked. So just taking a moment to arrive, settle into your body, and an invitation to take an internal weather report. How are you? Is there a feeling or an emotion that pops up? And then whatever that is, leaving the story behind and dropping into the body and what you notice here. Dropping your shoulders, letting go of any tension or tightening that you might have noticed, might have crept in. The invitation is to check in with yourself throughout the day. This can be enough. And in times of challenge or overwhelm, that maybe some of those techniques will support you through. We're in deep winter. It's a challenging time. In the depths of our winters, we are all wolfish. We want, in that archaic sense of the word, as if we are lacking something and need to absorb it in order to be whole again. These wants are often astonishingly inaccurate. Drugs and alcohol which poison instead of reintegrate, relationships with people who do not make us feel safe or loved, objects that we do not need, cannot afford, which hang around our necks like albatrosses of debt long after the yearning for them has passed. Underneath this chaos and clutter lies a longing for more elemental things, love, beauty, comfort, a short spell of oblivion once in a while. Everyday life is so often isolated, dreary and lonely. A little craving is understandable. A little craving might actually be the rallying cry of survival. In Of Wolves and Men, Barry Lopez examines the mystery of why wolves seem to kill more than they eat, more than they can eat. Wolves do not get hungry in the way we normally understand hunger, he says. Their feeding habits and digestive systems are adapted to a feast or famine existence, to procuring and processing massive amounts of food in a relatively short time. They are more or less always hungry. Not knowing when they will find their next meal, they must ensure that their cubs and dependents have all they need. Failure to do this could mean starvation at an unspecified future point. Perhaps the wolf is such an enduring motive of hunger because we see in them a reflection of ourselves in lean times. In winter, those hungers become especially fierce. Like my fleeting friend, the wolf tracker, we can learn to respect our wolves. Despite centuries of human effort, they endure. So, an invitation to be with your wolf. Listen to what you hunger. So, taking exquisite care of yourselves over the coming week. Do reach out if anything has come up that you'd like to explore. Thank you for joining me.